everyone, and welcome to New Trials Podcast. I'm Preya.
And I'm Melanie.
The New Trials of Captor Sakura, Syaoran and Friends is a popular ongoing fanfic by Wishluv, and it's based off of Clamp's Captor Sakura. And each episode will do a deep dive of a new chapter. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to kick things off with our Alliance of the Stars segment. Now, even though we haven't had any new feedback since last week, Melanie and I were so excited about this feature that we forgot to talk about the most important comment of all by our very own Wish Chen. So 5 months ago when we posted the prologue, she commented on YouTube saying, "Aw, I want to just jump into your conversation. So fun. Love hearing how you got into CCS." And she talks a bit about Chiharu and Sakura's friends, the trio. And she says, "What a fun podcast. Thanks so much for sharing. I'm writing as I'm listening." Now, Wish Chen, she has this really interesting comment of, I just want to jump into your conversation." Well, we're very pleased to announce that it's our chance to talk to Wish Chen. So Melly and we are going to do a Q&A with Wish Chen. We're very excited. The way that we're going to be formatting it is that we would like everyone to send in their questions, and Wish Chen is going to do her best to answer without giving spoilers, of course. And when we're going to be finished arc 1, that's when we're going to do our special Q&A episode with Wish Chen. So be sure to send all your juicy questions.
Yes, and please make sure you keep questions just related to arc 1 for now. We are going to try and get Wish Chan to do a Q&A at the end of every arc if she would be so kind, but I think she would probably answer if you do have more of just a general question. But, obviously no questions pertaining to the ending, pairings, even though that's what we all really want to know, but and when we reached out to her, we did ask if she would be comfortable coming on camera, but as you guys know, our Wish Chan is very camera shy. She was also very shy to do her voice, so unfortunately you won't get to see her beautiful face or hear her beautiful voice, but we are going to be shooting her all your questions, and she's also going to be making an Instagram announcement too at some point too, so you could also shoot her your questions personally if you would prefer. Or you could also email us at ntthepod@gmail.com. Lots of different avenues or to send your questions, but please do try to get it to us soon, because within the next couple weeks, you'll have all your questions answered by Wish Chan, and I literally cannot wait.
Okay, so New York, here we come. Melanie, you mentioned your special connection to New York, so dish.
All right. I know I'm sure some of you already know. So there is a character in New Trials that is me, but she doesn't show up until arc 4. But the character of Melanie, the model, is based after me. My story with New York is I got scouted when I was 13 years old in a mall, and I had this nice lady come up to me, and she saw this super tall Amazonian, and she's like, "Have you ever thought about modeling?" And I was the awkward, ugly kid at school. And so I couldn't even believe she was asking me that question. And I was like, "No." She goes, "Well, you should." And I went home and talked to my mom about it. And it just kind of went from there. But basically from the ages of 13 clear to fashion world wise, probably till I was about 22, 23. And then, as you know, you become a grandma in the fashion world when you hit 22, 23. So once I hit that, I kind of transitioned more into what's called a promotional modeling, where basically brands pay you to kind of go and promote their products at different places. So once I kind of retired from the fashion world of size, I went more into the promotional modeling world, which was super fun because I used to be. I'm not so much anymore. Now I'm such a homebody. But back when I was in my 20s, like I love just going out and just meeting people, talking to people. That's when I used to be able to like stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning with no repercussions. But it's super fun. But yeah, I spent quite a bit of time in New York. I was mostly a runway model was my main thing I ever did. I did some magazines, nothing huge, unfortunately. I wish I had some really cool pictures to show you guys. There is one big designer I've worked with a lot. Her name is Evil Pawn Jewelry, and I'll have maybe Priya tag her Instagram when we do our Facebook post. But she's kind of a jewelry designer. She's worked with a few people like Miranda Lambert and I forget some of the other big persons, but she's probably the designer that I worked with the most that I've actually have like really cool pictures. Otherwise, I was very much mostly a runway model for most of my career. But yeah, super fun. Helped me pay for school and not all of it, unfortunately, because but you know. But yeah, that is my connection. Although I'm sure most of you probably figured it out.
Well, we'll definitely be posting some of your Evil Pawn pictures on the IG for sure. Mhm.
Yeah, and there was actually one like I think Priya knows about it, but I was doing the picture that had like the red string of fate, and it was going to be for like a really big advertisement here in Kansas City, and I was so excited because it really reminded me because I had like a white dress, I had a red ribbon, it was so cool. But they ended up, I don't know what happened contract wise, I have no idea, but the whole project fell through. And so all I had were just kind of the demo pictures from it. And so I asked them if I could have the demo pictures. And by some grace, they said yes. So Priya has those. They're like, please don't judge. They're really bad. But like the final product would have been so cool. But unfortunately, that never came to fruition.
See, you say they're bad, and they're like my shining jewel of my new trials in real life slash cosplay slash bounding section on my new trials fan projects. So it's like, I have the beholder. I think they're fantastic, and we'll throw up some of that too.
I am thinking about, spoiler alert, that maybe this year for New Trials Day, I might come out of retirement and maybe do a special project. We will see. I'm trying to get the gumption to do it, but a good friend of mine is a photographer and he said he's down. So we will see. I don't know. Send me some love.
Oh, yeah, no, I've actually so basically as we announced back in October, I moved, and it wasn't until today that I managed to get all of my stuff back because as you guys know, my boyfriend built the house pretty much from scratch, the inside part from scratch. So now I have my boxes out. I do have cosplays in mind. I used to be able to do cosplays and there were bounds or my Nendo dolls like every single holiday, but I put little pause on that. But now that I have my stuff back, definitely going to get back into that game.
Yeah, I think 2023 is going to be just such an exciting and fun year. I'm so excited.
Hmm. Well, for my New York connection, I've been going to New York and New Jersey since I was a baby because I have family there. But on the flip side, because I have family there, we never did any sightseeing, with the exception of a family trip to the Statue of Liberty. Now, the first time I actually got to play tourist on my own is when I became obsessed with Wicked, and I bought tickets for the same weekend that we were going to a wedding, and it was a magical experience, and it definitely lived up to the hype.
It's
Yeah.
we've talked before, but it's hands down one of my favorite musicals too.
Oh yeah. No,
Another
I
way we
was
bonded.
like channel surfing, and then all of a sudden you have Adina Menzel singing Defying Gravity, and my jaw dropped. I'm like, what is this?
Oh,
I love this. I need to know everything about this now.
so good. It's so good.
And the second time I got to explore New York on my own, well, was not my own, but with a group of friends, is I did a girls' trip. We were in our early 20s, and we hopped on a tour bus, and they took us to the major attractions. And I actually have this really cute picture of my friends and me with matching Statue of Liberty foam crowns, and I'll share that with everybody on Instagram as well.
So much fun.
Yes. All right. So today we're going to be discussing Chapter 17, A Small World After All. And it's the first chapter. We're in New York, and I just noticed it's another song title.
Oh, it's a small world after all. You are welcome, everyone.
See, it's like when I think of New Trials song titles, I think of It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday and like, Yesterday's Letter and A Small World After All just goes over my head.
Because it gets stuck in your head.
Of course. So this chapter was released in the late fall of 2000. It's 7,055 words, so much shorter than the previous chapter. The gang is in the 8th grade, and it's during their winter holidays. Now for the summary. After checking in at the Plaza Hotel, the group went to Comtech for a tour guided by Miho. While everyone was raving about the script, characters, and special effects of CCS, Sakura was uneasy when she heard Miho softly saying that it was real. Later on, Sakura was intercepted by a famous cameraman named Mike Kant, who insisted that she become his model for his new clothing ad, since he reminded her of the model in the painting at the Metropolitan Museum titled The Smiling Angel. While taking out preliminary photos, a sandbag came close to hitting Sakura, but Miho freezed it with her own magical staff, giving Sakura time to get out of the way. Sakura continued to question Miho's identity. The group split ways, and Sakura, Tomoyo, and Syaoran ran into Ariel, and they have tea with them. Ariel informed them that he let go of his powers. Tomoyo and Ariel became scheming about reuniting Syaoran and Sakura, unbeknownst to their friends. Seeing Supi, Sakura just remembered about Hiro-chan, who was in her bag the whole time. Yue was revived from the new power around him, and Nakuru picked up her habit of hanging on Toya all over again. Before the day was over, Syaoran found himself with a modeling gig after a cameraman's insistence that he must be his model. That night, both Sakura and Syaoran were wide awake as they talked until they both fell asleep in the living room. In the morning, Tomoyo presented them with the newspaper headlining how 2 spies hacked into Tokyo airport. The first stop that day was the museum, where they were guided by Ariel and joined by Miho. They came across the smiling angel, and they realized it was Nadeshiko when Sakura pointed out the star sapphire ring. Then they saw more paintings of Nadeshiko and Ryuren by the artist Shing in his Angel and Warrior series, although only Sakura and Syaoran knew this. Syaoran was saddened to see the father he never knew, and as he had no pictures of his own. One painting entitled Destruction, with a man holding a sword to a woman's throat, left Sakura disturbed. When Sakura saw Miho being close with Ariel, they told her that he was her guardian, and that Kaho was her cousin. Later on, Sakura dreamt of herself calling out for Syaoran with no avail when a dark figure came behind her and placed a golden-hilted knife at her throat. So I wonder if Wish-chan picked the Plaza Hotel because of Home Alone 2.
Honestly, when I first went there, I was determined to stay there because of Home Alone 2. I was like, I want to go stay at the Plaza. I want to have my little Kevin McAllister experience. But spoiler alert, guys, it is probably one of the most expensive places to stay in New York. It is absolutely insane. But yeah, I would bet because I think she's around our age, isn't she? And that's very much a movie of our childhood.
Yes, yes, yes. No, the extravagance of the hotel is shocking. Like when I was younger, I was just excited for Sakura and her friends, but now as an adult, I'm very confused about how the young director contest can put such a prize for 8 people.
Like we talked about last episode, this suite that they're staying in is almost $30,000 a night. Like that is how much a teacher makes in a whole year. And they're there for what, 6 days, I think is what they said. So I don't even know what that math is, but holy moly. It's crazy.
So in this chapter, I didn't realize that Yukito lost his connection with Yue. Um, and it's like I didn't even remember what triggered him to wake up.
Well, and I think also this kind of solves our debate we had a couple episodes ago when we couldn't remember how Toya eventually knows everything there is to know about the Alliance of the Stars. I think this is kind of the first, well, he's already kind of technically had his first crack in the egg, but I think the fact that he runs in with Yue and then they're all, and even though Kiro still tries to act like a little stuffed animal, I think this is the first definite step into Toya being a part of the Alliance.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So we get to Comtech, and Miho leads the tour, and everyone gets bombarded with questions. My favorite one was when Toyo was asked how she made the outfits for the cloak cards. There was like one line by the head of the department that I found super meta that I only picked up on because we're doing a deep dive. I still don't get how a young girl could actually think up such a complicated plot, let alone carry it out with a cast that is so believable that you are drawn right into the video and everything seems real. It's like swap out video for fanfic, and we can say the same thing about Wish Chen.
Such a good pickup, Priya, as always. But oh my God, yeah, that fits Wish Chan 100%.
So Sakura and Syaoran are finally on speaking terms when she told him that she heard Miho say like something about clove reed and magic, that he dismisses her. It's like, come on, Syaoran, come on. What are you trying to prove?
I don't even have words. I'm so frustrated with
Uh, so we meet Mike Kant, and he becomes obsessed with Sakura, and he makes her his model for his clothing advertisements. Um, So now it's a time for a segment that Melanie doesn't know about, interview with a former model.
I was like, what?
Uh, First question. When people are discovered, is it really as easy as signing a form, or is there more red tape before you get in front of the camera?
This is this is 100% something I was going to mention. Never, ever, ever just sign a contract ever. Like, I don't care if you're just discovered on the street, have a lawyer look at this because you don't know what you're signing. But no, I mean, it's easy to get discovered. Like me, I was just walking in a mall, but usually what happens is they present you with a card, you have an interview, the contract is laid out, your lawyer looks at it, their lawyer looks at it, and then it's like, it's a lot of red tape. So yes, girls, for whatever reason, if this ever happens, or men, whatever, never just sign a contract. You're just given right away.
Now, this is my second question. Sakura is offered several $1,000s because she's a quote unquote newbie. Now, how accurate is that?
So that's actually not super accurate because, well, it kind of depends. There's a couple different ways it can go. If you're what's called a freelance model where you're just on your own, you're not represented, sometimes you can get paid really good money. You really have to advocate for it, but it's really hard to advocate for yourself, especially if you don't have someone in your corner bullying them, so to say. It can happen. Like once I got into the promotional model era of my life, I was able to negotiate pretty well. But in the fashion world, you really won't get paid as well. So I mean, it's sort of accurate, but whereas if you're represented by an agency, yes, you get paid more money because they bully for you, and or bully is probably not the correct word, but they really put themselves out there in order. Yeah, thank you. That's a much better word. But the thing with agencies is they take a certain percentage of whatever you make. And so there's kind of a give and take there. And so, yeah, there's a couple different ways it can kind of go. But I would say for the most part, Wish Chan is correct that when you're not represented, technically you don't get paid as much. But if you are represented, a little bit of a percentage, it's anywhere between 10 to it's usually anywhere between 10 to 20% of what you make. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's more mid-range. It kind of just depends. Like some of the bigger agencies, they take more, I believe, but yeah, you usually get booked more when you're with the bigger agencies. Or also in the modeling world is such a thing as having a mother agency and then having a satellite agency. So your mother agency also takes a percentage, Whereas if you have a satellite agency in like Tokyo, they're also taking a percentage. So yeah, there's a couple different avenues, but the amount she gets paid for this is actually pretty gosh darn accurate. It really is astronomical what you get paid to stand there and take a photo. And actually fashion photography or like advertisements, you do get paid more for those type of jobs, whereas runway, it's usually just a flat fee for the most part, unless it's like fashion week and you're doing several different runway shows in a day for different designers. But then it kind of gets hairy in there a little bit too. But anyways, that's my very long-winded response.
And that concludes our segment, interview with a former model.
So I wanted to mention a couple things during this part as well. So Mike can't. I was determined because he's in my head, he's blonde, he's American. So I really gave him like a real American accent when he talked. Like I had him say Sakura and Kenomoto, so I really try to really like pound in the American accent with him. But the reason why I have him say advertisement is because I worked with this photographer, and I won't throw his name out there. I won't do that to him, but he had the most American accent ever that you would hear, that every now and then he would say these like fancy European words just to sound fancy. And so that's the way he would say advertisement. He'd say advertisement. And so if you guys are confused of why I have Mike can't call advertisements advertisements, it's my little subtle hint to a photographer I used to work with.
That's a really nice behind the scene gem. I like that.
And then my other part I wanted to mention for this specific part is, the girls talk about here in a moment, like, why pick Sakura? She's not pretty. She's not blah, blah, blah. So actually in the fashion world, like, even though Sakura is obviously a beautiful girl, like really in the fashion world, they want you to look different. They don't want the girl next door, like the girl that's the most popular girl in your school or the most beautiful girl that she might be beautiful in the real world, but in the fashion world, she's not. They want you to kind of look weird, which is why when they scouted me, I was like, why would you want me? I'm like the nerd of the school. I don't get it, but I was 5'11". I have this crazy, like super dark hair, and I have these blue eyes, and I have this super pale skin that I always thought made me look like I was sick all the time. But in the fashion world, they thought that was amazing. And it really gave me the confidence that I have now to like really appreciate the way that I look. Maybe not so much now that I'm almost going to be 35, but anyways, with the girls saying like, oh, Sakura's not conventionally pretty. It's like, yeah, true. Maybe not in like your everyday high school setting, even though obviously Sakura is, but in the fashion world, they don't want models to be conventionally pretty.
Going back to Mike, I really love how he has a special place in his heart for Nadeshiko. So Sakura almost gets into an accident when a sandbag falls, but Miho saves her with her staff and magic. Now, we know that Miho has magic just because we've read the rest of New Trials, but I can't remember how was my mindset when I first found out. So I think it's been too long ago because I discovered New Trials back in like 2003, and I just don't remember like how I felt. It's like, oh my God, she has magic too.
I think I remember being really confused, but as far as like my initial reactions and stuff, I can't really remember either. But I do remember just being really confused and being like, what?
Yeah. So we got Ariel's introduction, and I was so excited to hear your British accent. And I think all of those Harry Potter rewatches definitely paid off. Your accent's so good. And it really differentiates him from the other males.
That's kind of you to say, because my Earl accent in this chapter was very touch and go, in my opinion, because I was still kind of figuring him out. But I promise, guys, I get better next chapter and the chapter after. I promise. But I appreciate you saying that, Preya, because I was just like, oh, I feel like it's so rough.
No, it was really good. And your Soupy voice was great too.
Soupy, like, I just rewatched Card Captor Sakura, and it's is the way they had Soupy talk. And I was like, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. And it took everything in me not to break when I would read Soupy. It was just so funny to me. I was like, you read books, Iro. He's my
I
favorite.
didn't see that coming at all, and I loved it. So I totally forgot that you would make an appearance in this chapter, and now it really feels like a homecoming because we all have all our OG faves in one chapter. Nakura too, she makes an appearance, and she sounds really fun to voice.
Yeah, she is a super fun one. She was another one that I was glad I just rewatched Card Captor Sakura not too long ago because the way she goes Toyaka, and
She's like a pop star.
yeah. So I was really trying to match that voice with what she does here, but yeah, she's super fun to voice.
Mm. So Ariel notices that Sakura and Syaoran are at odds with each other, and I totally remember what he and Tomoyo tries to scheme up in the next few chapters. It's like I live for that stuff.
Definitely, I think the beginning of Wish Chan kind of setting up their friendship, because, in card captors and well, CCS, we'll just call CCS. And CCS, they don't really interact too much. And so I like that she's kind of building her own canon for them here. And it just kind of spirals in their whole teamwork. And then the way he kind of finds her as an equal as we go along. And I just love it.
Oh yeah, no, in CCS, it's like Tomoyo, Ariel, pure fanon. It's like, Tomoyo's one true love is Kaho, go figure. So they were never supposed to be a thing, but the fans are like, yeah, we're just gonna look the other way. And
because Wish Chan roots for them. I've said it before, but I am 100% like I fully believe that Wish Chan is an Iro and Tomeo shipper, and I really wish I could ask her during the Q&A, but I know she will not answer. That's okay. I don't expect her to answer, but I really want to be like, is Tomeo and Iro going to get together?
oh yeah, she's not gonna answer that. But it's like just because she might feel a certain way doesn't mean it's gonna happen in new trials. So, you know.
Really popping my balloon here.
I'm just saying, you could still ask her. Wish Chan is an author, or doesn't have to reflect as Wish Chan as a fan. So we get our lovingly reoccurring trope of Sakura and Syaoran being unable to sleep, so they run into each other in a common area. And I always like this setting, lets them talk freely, and they talk about Ariel and Syaoran's shops. It's a small world after all. They didn't talk a lot, but at least they're talking.
I feel like she can always get him to talk more during the night for some reason. I feel like that's a thing that kind of continues on throughout the chapters, as we go along, that she figures out if I really need to talk to the real Syaoran, I need to talk to him in the dead of night.
So it's the following morning, and we see just how much of a morning person could be. And like I personally can relate. Melanie, I know you don't.
I do not understand how people can just bound up out of their bed ready for the day. I just can't. I can't do it.
See, like Cameron is not a morning person, so I've learned to dial it down. But once we went to the hardware store like super early in the morning, he's like barely got any coffee inside of him. He's trying to function. And then the person serving us is so chipper at 7 in the morning, and he's like talking all cheerily and he's whistling. And I'm like, yeah, I totally feel you. I can't be like that because I'll make Cameron grumpier. but yeah, that's me.
Already warned Priya. I was like, when you come visit me, you're gonna have to like wake up and just hang out with my husband for a little bit, and then eventually I will make my appearance, have my coffee, then I'll be ready to
go. So we learned that Sakura and Syaoran made the newspaper for all the trouble they caused at the airports, and then they were back at odds. That sure didn't take long. The aerial action plan starts to unfold. I remember being so charmed with them that there's like an appendix in my new trial summary with all of the action plans collected together. So, number one is that Syaoran's weakness is jealousy. That's when we learned that Syaoran agrees to be Mike Kant's model because he was so distracted when Ariel was talking to Sakura. So, it's nice to see that being set up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our next stop is the Metropolitan Museum of Fine Arts, and that's when we get to see the Angel and Warrior exhibit that they see in Xing's paintings. Now, I really love Liz Chan's descriptions of the painting. They recognize Nadeshiko, but it took them a bit longer to recognize Yurin. I think Destruction is the most graphic one that we got, and I wonder if Sharon saw his future with Sakura.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. Yeah.
We learned that Ariel doesn't wear glasses anymore, but fun fact, this gets retcon in the future of new trials and in fan arts.
That's what I was going to ask you because after I read that for the audiobook, I sat there for, after I finished the whole chapter, I sat there for a while after and I was like, hold on, did she just say he was wearing contacts? But my question though, kind of bouncing off of that is, does that change because he decides to what's the word I'm searching for? Like he decides to embrace his magic once more in order to help Sakura. So therefore it's like he morphs back into like his old ways.
See, we can theorize that, but I think Wish Chan said she just got too used to him like drawing him with his glasses on.
Yeah.
I think that's what it boils down to. It's she must have forgot that she gave him like perfect vision, and then all of a sudden, because like later on in the chapters, we will get scenes where Ariel takes off his glasses and sighs and and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So it's full on retcon.
Yeah. And I think it just adds to his charm. You know, it kind of just adds on to that British boy Harry
Yes.
Potter charm.
Yes, drinking tea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we learned that Miho and Ariel know each other because Kaho is Miho's cousin and Ariel is her guardian. Now, she calls him Nichan, but that doesn't really continue to my knowledge.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Although I think she maybe does it. My brain is telling me I think she maybe does it once in front of Kai and he flips out. And I think she does it just to like annoy the crap out of him more than anything. But yeah, I don't think it's like a continuous thing. I think you're correct on that.
Yeah. So this chapter ends with what I can guess is foreshadowing. Sakura is looking for Sharon, but instead a darkly cloaked figure is holding a golden knife to her throat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is definitely the beginning of the stalker kind of messing with her mind, which will definitely play a big part in next chapter.
Oh yes. So like moving on to Dark Forces corner. At the beginning of the chapter, Sakura is really shifty that she feels someone is following her. And then at the end we get a glimpse of the stalker in her
Mm-hmm.
dream.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to fan art spotlight. So this is Warrior and the Angel by Wish Chen, and it's a fan art that she shared with us on New Year's Day in 2015. And in the author's notes, I like what she says. She says that this is a picture of Sakura's mother, Amamiya Nadeshiko from CCS. She's with my original character, Lee Sharon. I drew this more painting-like than my usual style. It's another one of my old fan arts that started out as one layer doodle, um, but I really like the way Rian turned out, which is rare. He has long hair in this picture, which is also pretty rare. I envision that this can be a painting of artist Xing's Warrior and Angel series. So that's what she has to say about it. And I think it's just so beautiful. It really could be in a museum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when Priya sent this to me earlier, I don't know. I'm just not good about remembering fan art because I didn't remember this one at all, but it is so pretty. Like Nadesco in particular in this looks absolutely breathtaking. Like no wonder everyone that saw her just immediately fell in love with her. Like it's really no wonder. And maybe I'm biting back my words of the conventionally beautiful people don't are usually not picked to be models, but like Sometimes, though, if you're just so strikingly stunning, you can't, be in the modeling world. But oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
this is beautiful.
I like the clothes that they're wearing. It's like you can see the detail in Ryurin's collar, in Nadeshiko's where her sleeve is, with the hem, her cloak. Everything is just so beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
time for the author's notes.
All right. So we got Wish-chan. Oh dear. I think that I'm moving at an awfully slow pace. People rip out their hair with frustration. Hee hee. But in the end, it pays out. Oh my gosh. Why is Iro in New York? Man, isn't he so cool? But not as cool as Syaoran. And Miho is Mizuki sensei's cousin. On the mother's side. That explains her strange powers. Plus, Sakura has a modeling contract, lucky girl, and with Syaoran, but they don't know it's each other yet. Hee hee. Wouldn't you like to know the reaction when they find out? Oh, and Yue is back. Man, Yue is so cool. The problem is, every single guy in CCS is perfect, and I mean it, except Syaoran is the coolest of all. Oh yeah, and the Angel and Warrior series by the artist Sheen. Keep that in mind. This chapter was all the intro stuff, more action in the following chapters.
I love it when Wish-chan can take her author's hat off, and then she like puts her fangirl hat on, and she can gush as much as she wants.
I think she just has to keep proving to us over and over to Author's Note that I actually really like Sakura and Syaoran together, guys.
No, but it's exciting because she's given herself like a bigger cast of characters to play with, so you can really see her giddiness. Have anything else to say about the chapter?
I don't.
You have been listening to New Trials, the podcast, where it must rain for there to be a rainbow.
You've been listening to New Trials, the podcast. Please be sure to check out the audiobook version of this fan fiction that you can find anywhere that you can find this fan fiction. Also, please be sure to check out the Facebook fan page for New Trials, where a big part of our discussions happen nowadays. Also, now more than ever, guys, please be sure to send us questions to ntthepod@gmail.com. So here within the next couple weeks, you can get your questions answered by the one and only Wish-chan. Come on, guys, send us all these questions. I know you guys have been brimming with them. You can also email them directly to Wish-chan if you would prefer, but yeah, we're so excited. And please be sure to stick around next week when we discuss Chapter 18, Stalked in New York.